We are right here at Obalende, one of the most popular bus stops and transportation hub in Lagos, where you can find buses to practically every location in the city. It is one of the major gateways into what is now referred to as the island, a term used to describe one of the most influential districts in Lagos outside of its capital, Ikeja. This is Inside Lagos. I'm Adedoja. Salam Adeniyi. As Nigeria continues to grapple with COVID-19, Lagos State, the epicenter of the virus, has started witnessing flattening of the curve. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made this known at the official ceremony of the second session of the 34th Synod of the Diocese of Lagos. We were there.
As the global community is racing to halt the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, many countries of the world have begun to reactivate their economy under strict safety protocols. Lagos, the epicenter of the virus in Nigeria, has continued to demonstrate resilience that the virus can be contained as the curve is beginning to flatten.
Oh Lord, we are very, very grateful.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made this known during the official opening ceremony of the second session of the 31st Synod of the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion at our St. Saviour's Church.
I have a Father that will never, never fail me. I have a Father that will never, never fail me. Oh, Jesus is my Father, He'll never, never fail me. Rock of Ages, never, never.
It was the governor's first day in church after 6 months due to the COVID-19 restrictions. He thanked God for sparing his life and that of millions of residents. He says the state has continued to see a reduction in numbers of the confirmed cases of coronavirus, defying all predictions and statistics of high mortality rate.
During the trying times, we're not out of it yet, but COVID-19 has truly, really locked us down. We've done over 6 months now. And your prayers, your special prayers, have held us all together. I'm sure you've seen that the church has participated in various activities also during the lockdown. Various donations that you've given to the citizens, to their parishioners, foodstuff, medical equipment that you have sent to the government. I want to acknowledge and thank you and thank all of our various parishioners and all of our various churches for their support to the government and the people of Lagos State. And I'm saying that your palliative and your intervention indeed helped us very well during this very trying period. The good work that you're doing will be remembered as we all gradually begin to get back to our normal life. What we're seeing now is that we did estimate that by August, we're believing that the curve would flat out, meaning that the positivity rate would flat out and we'll begin to see a downward trend. And I'm happy to inform you, people of God, that we've plateaued, the curve has started coming down, and we're beginning to see a lower number in the positivity of the COVID-19. But we're not out of it yet. We need to continue to take precaution, but we're seeing the numbers coming down from Lagos. Lagos was the epicenter. Indeed, we've risen up to it, but we're beginning to see the numbers come down on a daily basis. While continuing this goodwill message, I come to the realization that not all of us witness the lockdown are able to experience the gradual reopening. In the light, I wish to sympathize with all families, be it in this congregation or anywhere, who have indeed lost a loved one. We want to commiserate with them, but we'll continue to pray that God will spare the lives of all of us that are remaining. This is a painful thing, but we'll continue to take heart. We'll continue to ensure that as a government, we'll do what we need to do to keep life alive. Following the rude and unexpected difficult events of COVID-19, which we've all witnessed in the year 2020, which of course we all know started in China, in Wuhan, there cannot be a better thing for this synod, which is to pray, to serve, and to grow. I'd said in Romans 12:11, not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. We are to pray in order to acknowledge our limitation as human beings. God remains sovereign. He remains the supreme Lord. He knows it all and is in charge of all circumstances that we human beings might face. Service to the Lord is serving one another, is loving one another, is helping one another, is supporting one another. Serving the Lord is serving one another in active ingredients of the work of our faith.
Governor Sanwo-Olu urged the church to continue to support the state government, especially in prayers, as the state is committed to doing everything possible to save lives.
To build a greater Lagos, we certainly need to hold on to God. We certainly need to continue to pray. We certainly need to use God as an instrument of contact for all of us. Because what we have gone through in this year 2020, it was said that we'll be picking dead bodies on the street. But thank God, Almighty God, He kept all of us. Less than 2%, when the statistics have said to us that it will be 10%, it will be 15%, less than 2% was the fatality that we had to deal with in Lagos. But also it showed us that in that context, not only pray, we also serve. Because it was at this very trying period that we can call on to our frontline health workers, to our doctors, to our nurses, to our dietitians, to our physiotherapists, to our drivers, ambulance drivers, to our all sort of cleaners in the hospitals, who stood up, who rose up, who, no matter even how much we pay them, but they were ready to serve. So how much more we in the house of God? How much more do we need to remember and see that even what we preach in Bible, what we hear, it's right here with us in today's reality. If we don't know, COVID-19 has shown us in reality that we need to pray, which is why we continue to pray in Lagos. We need to serve wherever we find ourselves, whatever we find our hands to do, let us do it well. Let us do it with the best of intention, because we do not know who is watching. And of course, we need to grow. We need to grow in the house of God. We need to grow as a people. We need to grow as a nation. We need to grow as a denomination. We need to grow as a diocese. And our growth and our belief will be what God will begin to ask us and begin to use as a testimonial that He will challenge us at the end of the day.
Our own government. Thank you.
The diocesan and missioner of Diocese of Lagos, the Right Reverend Onfren Olumakaye, also commended Governor Sanwo-Olu for showing leadership in managing the COVID-19 pandemic in Lagos, as well as delivering on some of his campaign promises in line with the Greater Lagos agenda.
We identify with and have indeed followed with keen interest the brilliant resources that your administration is steadily expanding on the selected frameworks. We are aware that it is on course with impressive giant strides, and we are confident that it will fully unfold and be achieved in grand style. Your aggressive, proactive response to the plight of the people and devoted compassion with which you have dealt with the ensuing challenges and situation in the state is highly commendable. We note especially with delightful satisfaction your decisive, swift, and pragmatic approach, effective containment, and exemplary management of the worldwide outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic that ravaged not only our dear state and the nation, but indeed the entire world. We globally acclaim recorded setting recovery results. We are convinced that with God on our side, we shall overcome.
He also commended religious leaders in Lagos State, especially the Diocese of Lagos, for their support and cooperation in ensuring strict adherence to the directive of the state government in respect of COVID-19 pandemic.
The city of Lagos is geologically below the sea level, which makes it prone to perennial flooding. With high rainfall predictions this season, the government have been advising residents and putting control measures in place to reduce the devastating impact of flooding in some low-lying communities in the state.
Early last month, the Lagos Commissioner for the Environment warned residents to relocate to higher grounds, as forecasts predicted extremely high rainfall, which may result in flooding.
The quest of the state government in ensuring that massive dredging and cleaning of all canals and channels are cleaned have continued unabated, and some residents have played their part by refraining from dumping in our canals and channels, thus fulfilling their own part of the bargain. But there's still very much to be done. There are several residents who are still taking out their refuse during rainfalls and dumping same in tertiary drains in front of their houses. Or some don't even dump in front of their houses, some even take it to the larger canals, that is secondary and primary drains, to go and dump their refuse. We saw an incident in Mushin the other day when it was raining and some residents brought out their refuse and they were dumping them into the canals and so on. We also have cases of people who are still erecting illegal structures on the right of ways of our channels despite repeated warnings and so on. When you dump refuse into the drains and so on, and it rains every day, the refuse is brought back to you, and so you come and tell the whole world that I'm flooded. Our houses are flooded. And that's the kind of thing we are talking about. My admonition to such people is that whatever goes round must come round. What they fail to realize is that the refuse they indiscriminately dump in the drainage channels will still block the passage of flood water into the channels. The state government is using this medium again to reawaken our consciousness on what lies ahead in the months of September and October in terms of rainfall and reinforce additional measures we have put in place to prevent or minimize the incidence of flash flooding in the state. Part of the new measures we are putting in place, in addition to existing efforts, is the provision of pumping stations in some low-lying areas with risks of high intensity rain. So what we are providing is that we are beginning to experiment with a lot of pumping stations. We are trying to get some along the sharing area, and then moving towards Owode, so that, because if you can have with a bit of pumping station, we'll be able to reduce the incidence of flooding. So, and that's what it's an experiment we want to do. We want to see how far it can go, so that we can be able to set it up in different parts. If you go to Lagos Island, we're already experimenting with it in Lagos Island. Basically, Ilubiri area, we already have a pumping station there, which we are experimenting with, is to help us, regulate the water, the storm water along LGA in Lagos Island. So we already have a pumping station there. So we are planning similar things along Isheri, Owode and Koshofe, Owode and Agboiketu area.
The Nigeria Meteorological Services forecast had predicted that Lagos will experience a rainy season of between 240 and 270 days, while maximum annual rainfall was predicted to be 1,750 millimeters. It is another rainy period, and some communities in Lagos are beginning to feel the devastating impact. This community lacks proper drainage channel, and they say they've had to endure with this environmental challenge whenever it rains.
The flood has been there for so many years, not this year at all. It's more than 5 years, It's more than 5 years. And we are expecting our government to come and do solution to it.
Make it government, make it help us.
We are presently working on over 232 channels, secondary channels, out of which over 60% are in various stages of completion. just as 46 primary channels are receiving attention presently. This is in addition to the gigantic efforts of our emergency flood abatement gangs that are being deployed around the state to undertake quick fix to fix manholes or clog up drains manually. The drainage channels are spread around all the divisions of the state. What is very instructive about the drainage channels that are receiving attention is that many of such channels have been cleaned and tons of solid rubbish excavated from the canals and simultaneously carted away. The state government has also mobilized some contractors back to some of the drainage channels that have been cleaned but were littered again by some recalcitrant members of the public. I want to assure residents of some areas like Aguda, Shomolu, Surulere, Oshoki, and Eti-Osa that those areas that have been very vulnerable of recent to incidents of flooding, and we have gone back again to intensify efforts in those areas. So I've mentioned these areas: Aguda, Shomolu, Surulere, Oshoki, and Eti-Osa, so that work is already going on to re-emphasize some of the work we've done and so on, to consolidate again, because we discovered that in many of these areas, after finishing on the channels, we discovered that many people still went there to dump refuse or to block the drains and so on. So we've gone back again to try and work on many of these channels, particularly in these areas, because these are areas with high population. So and we need to seriously work so that we'll be able to minimize incidents of flooding.
The rains are nature's gift to mankind, which is needed to grow the food we eat and provides us the water we drink. But the climate change effect has altered the weather patterns. Even as the citizens expect the state government to do the needful in keeping to a clean environment, experts say residents must also take responsibility for their actions, especially during this rainy season.
Nigerian HIV/AIDS Indicator and Impact Survey estimates that Nigeria has about 1,760,000 people living with HIV, 1.4 million prevalence with more than 900,000 treatment covering gap. In Lagos State, more than 120,000 people are HIV positive, 78,000 are currently on treatment, 42,000 are yet to commence treatment. Eti-Osa local council area has the highest burden of the virus in Lagos State, and this is the reason the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency is here for an outreach. The HIV testing services is in collaboration with the King of Ikate Kingdom, Oba Said Ademola Elegushi. The Oba is also one of the ambassadors of HIV response in Lagos State. The monarch made available his compound as the testing arena.
If you have HIV, does not mean it's a death sentence. Definitely. So we try as much as possible to sensitize our people, talk to them.
There are two types of tests here: determined test kit, one with blood sample, and the other only involves the gum. Oral Quick HIV self-test. All results are out in a GV.
Just finished my test now and I was test negative. Also the people that is there really advise us that at least we should be doing the test every 3 months to check our immune system, because there's a person in us that can easily change as soon as possible in the next 3 months.
Please come and check their status, check their HIV test. Let them know what is going on within them, so it should not be too late and start running helter-skelter for it. So they can come out, even though it's positive, it's not a death sentence.
The Managing Director, Lagos State AIDS Control Agency, says our agency is working hard to attain the global epidemic control of HIV/AIDS by year 2030 through the UN AIDS 90-90-90 initiative.
The mandate of the United Nations, which states that 90% of our people must know their status, 90% of these people must be started on treatment, and 90% must attain viral suppression. So KBSE knows that. So every time we come, the last time we came, was during the Yuletide period, where we had a lot of shows in Lagos State, and you know the youth, all of them were partying without any discrimination. So we came and we did a massive outreach. Recently,
Dr. Monsurat Adeleke also explains why knowing one's status is important in curbing the spread of the virus.
We know that it's Eti-Osa that has the highest. So what we've done as an agency is that we've not relented on our hours. Every time we get an opportunity, we come and do massive community testing. HIV used to be a death sentence, but now we know that we're increasing awareness and letting everyone know that it's no longer a death sentence. The earlier you know your status, the better for you. If it's positive, there are also many options that we can offer. If it's negative, there's still counseling to ensure that you stay that way. So that's basically what the outreach is about.
HIV infection is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus. One can contract HIV from contact with infected blood, semen, or vaginal fluids. Most people get infected by having unprotected sex with someone who has HIV. Another common way of contracting AIDS is by sharing drugs needles with an infected person.
From the Obalende bus stop, we call it a wrap on the show today. Remember, COVID-19 is still out there. Take responsibility, follow all safety guidelines, wash your hands frequently, and also leave 2 meters between yourself and the next person. I'm Adedoja. Salam Adeni. See you next time. Bye-bye.